Hello and welcome back to NoBS. Today we're doing a bit of a flashback. We're going to talk about another vice presidential candidate in relation to the recent one that was announced, Kamala Harris. Everyone knows Kamala Harris is Joe Biden's new choice for VP in his Democratic presidential bid. And what I wanted to talk about today and what some other people are talking about is other female vice president candidates and other kinds of campaigns that had male and female components. Now, admittedly, the U.S. hasn't had a female president. We all know there wasn't even a minority president until Barack Obama won in 2008. But the point of today is more about the fact that they're acting like Kamala Harris is like the first female candidate. They act like she's like the first VP candidate to be female, but that's actually not true at all. We all have longer memories than that. I know they want us to forget about 2008, but back then when Obama was running for his first term, that obviously he won. Obama won in 2008 and in 2012. But remembering back to 2008, we can think about who his opponent was. John McCain was the Republican candidate, and he had a noteworthy VP candidate named Sarah Palin. Now, a lot of people probably have forgotten about this meme. This Sarah Palin figure has long been gone from the public eye, but she's still out there. She's still around. She used to be the governor of Alaska. She was involved in politics out there in one of our latest states, and she was tapped to be the VP nominee. And needless to say, they lost. It was a bit of a slip up. Some people hold it against John McCain because, frankly, Sarah Palin wasn't ready. She was kind of a more amateur candidate. She didn't know a lot about politics. So this isn't necessarily about defending her or that ticket. Like, I'm not trying to say, oh, McCain and Palin should have won. Oh, Palin was the best, but she was certainly treated differently by the media. And that's the point of today. Things have seemed to change a lot because back in 2008, like everyone was attacking Palin. She was mocked by everyone. She had a noteworthy SNL portrayal done by Tina Fey that just made her out to be this total ditz and this total terrible kind of person who knows nothing. And that's really what I wanted to talk about today because that's like worlds away from how they're treating Kamala Harris. Kamala Harris is like someone you're not allowed to criticize. You call her ditzy or you call her phony and they say you're sexist. They say anything they can to defend her, which is just worlds different than the way things were back in 2008. Now, this is happening for a variety of reasons, and I find it interesting, and that's why we want to talk about it. So the real reasons are pretty obvious. Obviously, PC culture has risen since around 2013, 2015. Like the leftists have taken over the mainstream media and made everything way more woke and far left. And in addition, they've always kind of run the news business. This isn't a new thing. The leftists have always been in charge of places like CNN, MSNBC, NBC, ABC, places like that. But the biasness has gotten way more extreme in recent times. Now, back in 2008, there used to be a little more fairness. They used to pretend to care about both sides. And in addition, they weren't focused on this sexism angle. So it was okay to criticize female politicians. In addition, of course, Palin was a Republican. That's probably the biggest difference, was the fact that she was on the conservative side. Attacking conservatives is totally fair game, but going after Kamala Harris, a Democrat, is making you racist and offensive. It's like taboo. We talked about it in a whole other video about how they just claim that anything against a female that they like is sexist. They say if you don't agree with this person, you're racist, like they said with Obama. So it's really about race-obsessed, sex-obsessed liberals and their double standards and the way they mistreat people like Sarah Palin. And again, before we move on, I got an article and more of the story to go over. But like I said, this isn't necessarily like a big defense of Palin. It's more just like showing you the double standard, remembering how mistreated she was in the past, how harsh the media and all the people were against her. And sure, you could justify a lot of that. You could say she wasn't ready. You could say she wasn't the smartest or something like that. But just remember, Kamala Harris has a lot of downsides too. She's not as smart as most people. She's very, very biased and extreme. So I think keeping that in mind, it shows that it is a similar situation. This isn't the first female VP nominee, and this is the legacy that the media and the public have. So this is a tweet from Ari Fisher. He says, I guess name calling against the female VP candidate was okay in 2008. That's what sparked the story for me. This is an article from The Atlantic that goes over this. And actually just kind of, it's proof that they treated them differently back then. This is an article from 2008. and it's from The Atlantic. It says, "The incredible thuggish stupidity of Sarah Palin. I have worked really to avoid writing a headline like that, but watch this video where she basically says, if you don't support me, you're going to hell." I'm not sure if that's an accurate portrayal. We could check that video in a moment, but right out the gate, this is like a time machine. We're going back 12 years. Things are starkly different, as we mentioned. This kind of headline about Kamala Harris would obviously be called racist or sexist. Like, that's just their go-to. And it just goes to show the biasness and the fact that they'll attack this kind of candidate on the right side, but in the left side, it's okay. And it's made to be out this like great hero, like, oh, she saved the world because she's a female minority candidate. But we've already had a female candidate and they didn't care. They hated her because it's not the right politics. So it's not really what they claim. And that's the most important part. So let's go ahead and check this video and then we'll get back to the article. Carson, California.
We're going to shatter the highest, hardest glass ceiling in America. Looking at Shelley's resume before I came out here, and I thought, oh, there's some diversity. I like this. It's good. And because maybe this is the only...
So the one thing I'll say, I don't hear any of this quote yet. She said that there's a quote that basically says, if you don't support me, you're going to hell. I haven't heard anything close to that in this clip yet. We could still get to it, but the thing I wanted to point out right away, I already can hear Palin's voice. She's got this really hokey kind of like country accent. And honestly, like, I find her a little charming. Like I said, I'm not a big fan. I understand she was ill-equipped and, a young kind of like untested candidate. But the fact of the matter is, Palin is like 100 times more likable than Kamala. Kamala is just like this terrible, mean person who is just not sweet or charming at all. She just seems very crass and abrasive and just someone you wouldn't want to be voting for or be around. But Palin seems nice. She's cuter. She's sweet. She has this kind of voice. She has a big family too. She's like a family person, lots of kids, lots of experience with family stuff and, being around real normal everyday people. Like Kamala is this rich elitist from San Francisco who's probably never even met a poor person. Like Sarah Palin looks like someone who hangs out with normal people, goes to the bar on the weekend, like she's friends with everyone. And I think that's the biggest difference. And I think that just goes to show how strange this kind of contradiction is. Like, if you really think about it, they really mistreated Palin and were so hard on her, despite her being not nearly as bad as Kamala, who you can't even attack at all without being called racist.
You'll never believe what the quote was. It was Madeleine Albright, former Secretary of State and UN ambassador. And Madeleine has as her quote of the day for Starbucks. Now, she said it. I didn't. She said, "There's a place in hell reserved for women who don't support other women."
Okay. So this isn't the quote she said. She's quoting someone else, and it's just kind of like a pro-women, united feminist kind of angle. And I understand that. Okay, I can understand that's a little lame. Like, okay, yeah, you got to vote for women because you're women. It's a bit identity driven. But the point is, she didn't say, if you don't support me, you're going to hell. She quoted a quote that she saw on her Starbucks cup. So this is just really a misrepresentation, like purposely from The Atlantic. And they're really just trying to bash a candidate they don't like. They're going after any Republican they can. And it's just showing the great hypocrisy of the media and the left. And also how things have changed so much since 2008. Incredible. Sarah Palin's message to undecided women is, support me or burn. Is she out of her mind? Has she mistaken Sean Hannity for America? Does she really think this is going to sway women who are on the fence? Does she think Madeleine Albright is going to give her cover? Does she have any concern for her own career? It's a lot of questions, dude. I mean, this is really, really dramatic. But this isn't even the half. McCain, equally stupid, has somehow gotten it in his head that Palin is an effective attack dog, but she has no credibility. Why would anyone believe her? She basically represents a profane, thuggish populism, but nothing else. George Bush had compassionate conservatism and the ownership society. What else do these guys have? They're just running on a kind of tribal Neanderthalism, nothing else. Now, this is stuff that is really, really bad to say. Like, you got to think about it in the context of the present. I know we're talking about Palin in the 2008 election, but, each election cycle shows you new things. It's important to reflect back, think about how things have changed and stuff too. I find it interesting. And specifically here, I mean, she basically calls them tribal Neanderthals. Like, that's pretty brutal. That's pretty racist. If it was called like that, if you said that about Kamala and you said she was like harping back to her, days of her African heritage or something in tribes of Africa, like that would obviously be offensive. Like, this is something you could not say about Kamala, but freely said about Palin, promoted even. They're saying Palin and McCain aren't smart. McCain at least has a long storied political career. You could disagree with him if you want. I know he went anti-Trump in his later days. He's not necessarily the best friend of the party right now. He's also passed away, so rest in peace. But the point is, yeah, this is stark tribalism for the press. This is a terrible idea from The Atlantic, a biased paper that's been biased for 12 years, apparently. And yeah, it's just a bad sign. And I think I want to bring this up most importantly because we did talk about how they try to deflect and shield Kamala Harris from criticism and say, oh, you can't say this, that's against women, that's against black people, like you're racist, you're sexist. And I just want to point this out that it wasn't racist or sexist to go after Palin. So they clearly have double standards and they don't care about being fair and balanced. They care about politics and pushing the candidates and the people they like and that will benefit their terrible plans of big brothering this country, making us not populism. Like here they say thuggish populism, like it's a bad thing that Palin identifies with the middle class, like the populace, like the most common people. No, these people are elitist. Obviously, The Atlantic is elitist. Obviously, Kamala is rich and famous in California. Like that's what they're going for. And I think that's what's really going to be bad for our country. That about wraps things up. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Make sure you comment your thoughts on everything below. Also hit that like button if you enjoyed what you saw, subscribe if you're new, and hit that bell for notifications too. Until next time, have a great day.